Sci-fi extremist. He's saying, with Superman being 3 years in and the superhero world already existing, what's one bit of continuity reference you hope we get in Superman? I.e., the Batman of Gotham still at large, Army pilot Steve Trevor missing, scientists in Central City survive lightning strike. Do you get where he's going with this?
I do. I like these. I know they're going the billionaire route because we've already seen Stag, we've seen Luthor Core, and we've seen Maxwell Lord Tech. We've seen 3 billionaire world establishing things. So I think Wayne is almost a shoe-in. Whether or not we hear of anything with the Batman, I think Wayne Tech is going to be a piece because it feels important to the world they're building out. I would love, and I don't know if they'll do it, but I think it'd be really cool since Heroes have been around so long if they do a Hal Jordan younger movie down the line and they reference Hal Jordan's adventures leading up to. So we get Guy Gardner, but I'd love if Hal Jordan's already established because he's
like
Kyle
a period piece.
Yeah, how cool would it be to do an 80s Hal Jordan movie, with a de-aged Kyle Chandler or something, with bookends of the modern one. But I'd love some of the characters we're gonna introduce as older with reference to their legacy. I think if you're doing a 300-year thing, how cool would it be if Wonder Woman's been around 300 years? They did that with 84, but they could go so much more godlike and powerful. So I would establish that some of these characters have been around for a really long time, and I would do Hal, I would have Wonder Woman. So those kind of references. I think it'd be cool to do Booster Gold as a time traveler because he's a time traveler. He comes back. I would also love an early to mid 80s Booster Gold movie where he's from our day, but he time travels and he's basically a TikToker in that age. He's a showboat, but in the 80s it's broad shoulders and being cool, but his technology is our modern, but back then that'd be crazy. So I would play with the 300-year thing with time and lace in these little Easter eggs so that you're world building, but don't make it too much of a weight on Superman. Make it something that you could explore in a later movie, but you don't have to.
I think he already did that with Creature Commandos.
100%.
He started off with the people of Themyscira or something.
Yeah.
I need to rewatch the show. I already forgot how most of it goes, but they had the Batman little shadowed obscure cameo. Yeah, a villain whose origins very much deeply seated in there, and then they had Clayface show up.
Yeah, who's gonna get his own thing, and we also had the tie-in between Rick Flag and his son established, and Rick Flag is everywhere. We're getting Rick Flag in everything going forward. That we know of. Peacemaker, he's out. Superman, he's out. He's already been in Creature Commandos.
Do you think they're going to try to keep anything from the DCEU still existing? Because I know they've had the thing with Amanda Waller and
the Peacemaker trailer. They had 2 Peacemakers.
So yeah, the theory is that it's a multiverse thing that's gonna.
I think ironically, Marvel is going to end their multiverse stuff because it got too heavy. I think DC is going to be able to do. Let's look what worked and launch from messy multiverse. I think Peacemaker is going to somehow utilize a multiverse thing, but I haven't seen it yet. But the trailer implies it heavily enough that I can see that being a factor.
And do you want any specific hints of other superheroes in the Superman movie, like what he's talking about? The way I think
Booster Gold.
Didn't
I really want Booster.
Some type of Booster Gold reference?
Yeah, because I feel like he is so topical. I feel like the movie's about heroes that have already been established, and also they seem to be working for billionaires. Booster Gold being a hero that does stuff for likes is the most James Gunn topical. It feels so right for right now. So I would love if he gets a mention before we meet him. I feel like if you're going to world build, I don't want too many heroes. We've already got enough. And maybe a couple more we don't know about so we get surprises. But I don't want there to be a Justice League that is fully formed waiting to be announced. That'd feel like a lot.
Very true. That would be the mistake of the last DC iteration.
And I feel like they've learned from that.
Let's hope so.
And Constantine.
You would want a Constantine reference?
I want Constantine so bad.
Did you like the Keanu Reeves one?
I like it as an Elseworld. Yeah, actually, this is going to make and upset the same people. They're going to make it happy and upset them. The way I feel about Man of Steel, I think it is an exceptional version of the character that isn't how I see the character. I think it's a well-made movie. I think it's a Superman, but it's not how I see Superman. I feel the exact same way about Constantine. I think it's an exceptional take. I think it's awesome. It's exciting. That's not the character to me. I love Keanu Reeves. I have worked with the man out of sheer admiration and willpower. I willed that to exist. I love the dude. But the way I see the character is not that. So it's kind of like Man of Steel, where it's I'd love to see a comic accurate one now. And we can have both because of the way the multiverse works. So if they're going to do a Constantine 2, I'd love for you to call that Constantine 2, but give me a Hellblazer. I would love a Hellblazer thing that actually feels like a British guy that you would not want to run into in a pub that kind of smells, but he's charming in his own way. I want a scuzzy dude to be him. And it's Keanu Reeves. So you love the guy.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? He's too likable.
I enjoy that Constantine movie a lot, while also acknowledging it is not like comic accurate comics.
You can have both, right? Like that's I think how I feel.
Yeah, I think that's a really fun movie. And he was in the DC shows, and he had his own DC show for a little bit, or was it like an NBC show that he came to the DC universe? Is that what they did?
He came over when there was a merger, like because
that was accurate.
That guy was great, and he did the voice for a while. Matt Ryan, I think is his name.
Yes.
But like I think Keanu's friend Norman Reedus is closer. Like I want a guy that's a little greasier, and a little like, why did that girl just sleep with that guy? Like I want the guy to be like, I don't trust him, but we need him. And Keanu Reeves is Keanu Reeves. He's the one.
I trust James Gunn to take notes in a way that reminds me of like Quentin Tarantino. As a fan of Quentin Tarantino, a lot of times he'll have these movies that he says that he loves, but people really don't like. I remember one time there was a year of his favorite movies of the year, and he put The Lone Ranger on when everyone hated The Lone Ranger that year. And he often does that. He'll love a lot of things that a lot of people don't. In fact, so much of his earmarks in films like Kill Bill are from movies that are considered schlocky or cheesy, B movie, grindhouse. You know, he clearly embraces that, but then somehow he manages to make an amazingly audience critic, well-received film. James Gunn really loved The Flash, and I feel like that was genuine. A lot of people don't, and there's a lot of weird multiverse stuff in there, and there's like that whole Superman thing at the end or all the cameos at the end that was really bizarre. And I think he really did love that experience and movie and consider it one of the greatest comic book movies. Those were his words. And I see him as the kind of person who can mine what he loves from that and make something that more people will actually love. Yeah. So when
he's
we're
a
talking
trauma guy, like he's a guy that came from like that kind of film. Like Grindhouse and Trauma remind me a lot of each other.
So when you're talking about potentially doing some multiverse stuff, that might sound fatigue-like or exhausting for people. Or didn't they just do that? I think James Gunn will be able to do it in a way that is accessible and people like.
Yeah, he came up with the Infinity Stone movie version in like an afternoon.
He did. People forget that.
Like on a whim, like he's like, let's just do this. And like now it's the basis of the MCU.